Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a new video. I'm going to be talking about gas mileage. I get a lot of questions about this, mainly because I daily drive this car. A lot of people are curious about, what it's like to daily drive an STI and what their gas mileage is like. That is a concern for people because, they drive a lot, and putting money into the car for gas is obviously a concern and something that people want to know about before they purchase this car. I've had this car for going on 4 years now, 3.5 years currently. So I have a good indication of kind of what this car gets, gas mileage wise, but just by driving it every day, commuting with it and just living with it every single day. Let me go over my performance mods because I'm not really sure if this really makes a big difference in terms of gas mileage, but I wanted to mention them just so if anybody is interested as to maybe why theirs is different or as to what my what my mods are and why I got my specific gas mileage. I'm currently on a Stage 1 Plus tune by Bren Tuning. I have the Cobb SF intake and just like basically a non-resonated catback. And that's pretty much it. I have a Turbo Smart compact bypass valve. That doesn't really matter, but I figure I'd mention it. And that's it. I don't have anything crazy. The tune can maybe help with it. I don't think it would really help that much where one person's getting, 10 miles per gallon less or something like that. Maybe it's like 0.5 or maybe even 1, I don't know. But I figured I would mention that just so to kind of clear the air, so anybody that is curious as to what mods or performance mods are on the car, that's what's on currently. First, going to start off by kind of going over my specs and my driving habits, just so you can get a better idea as to, the average MPGs that I get and as to why they're like that. So you can kind of compare to yourself and your driving style and your driving habits, so you can get a better idea as to, what you can get gas mileage wise for your STI. So for me, I drive, work is about 6 miles away. So, to and from, it's about 12 miles to and from work per day. Normally I go to the gym on my lunch break, going out for lunch and stuff. So I'm roughly hitting about 15 to 16 miles a day on a normal schedule. Obviously what's going on right now, it's a little bit different since, gyms are closed and all that. And I'm basically just driving to and from work. I don't drive this car on the weekends really. Once in a while I'll take the family out or I'll go on a drive or something like that. But mainly that's Monday through Friday. Just going to and from work, so it's about 15, let's just say 15 miles per day. I get roughly about 250 miles per tank. I don't let it get all the way down to empty, where the light really comes on that often, but I'm usually filling up around a quarter a tank. So I roughly get about 230 to 250 miles per tank. Obviously I can get more if I really stretch it out, but I don't really like waiting, until it gets really, really empty, just because it's not necessarily good for the car waiting to get that low. So I typically usually fill up a little bit sooner. But as I said, it's around 250 miles to the tank. I have gotten over 300 miles on a much longer trip, which I'll talk about later. But I just want to say, roughly driving Monday to Friday during my driving habits and everything, that's normally what I get. So the gas that I get, I typically try to always get Shell V-Power 93 octane. Once in a while Shell's not really around, but I typically, I drive on the same route basically every single day, and there is a Shell station pretty close by, so I typically always get Shell 93, and it's roughly around 35 to 40 bucks right now. Sometimes it tips over 40 depending on the gas prices and the time of the year, but right now gas is relatively reasonable. It's not that bad. So, I live in New Jersey. I think it's like about $2.19 for 93. So I'm looking at about 35 bucks. I just filled it up not that long ago, so I think it was like $35, $36. That's what I normally look at to fill the tank in this car. I'm roughly going about right now every a week and a half to 2 weeks to fill it up. Sometimes a little bit less depending on my driving habits, but that's roughly right around how often I actually fill up. So now let's actually talk about the MPGs, the gas mileage. What am I getting? Why am I getting it? What can you get from it? Right now, my Trip A, I just looked before I got out of the car, is currently 16.2 MPGs. And that is based on my Trip A odometer. I reset that every single time I get gas, just so I can keep track of it, how many miles I'm putting on the actual tank of gas, and also it resets that trip or the MPGs on that trip odometer. So I'm getting 16.2, and that's a culmination of, spirited driving, just normal everyday driving, sitting in traffic, basic kind of stuff. And that's just what I'm looking at currently. I'm driving a little bit harder now just because the weather's warmer, it's nicer out. I have the windows down and stuff. I just want to hear the exhaust more. And it's just nice out. Typically when the warmer weather comes around, I guess I drive more spiritedly, and I'm just excited to drive and be out and everything. Especially now, being quarantined for so long, now that I'm able to drive the car every single day instead of watching it sit in the garage. I'm enjoying the car even more, so I'm kind of getting on it a little bit more than I normally do. But I'm usually around the 17 MPGs, sometimes 18, depending, if I'm just kind of cruising. But like I said, that is a culmination of getting on it, just driving normal, sitting in traffic kind of stuff. My commute to work is all back roads. I really don't go into any major highways or any major roads or anything like that. I cross a few of them, but I really don't hit that much traffic. It's all back roads, has some nice twisties and everything, nice curves, so it's really fun. So it's kind of hard to resist doing some spirited driving on the way to work. Well, actually, to and from work, I should say. It's nice to have the roads kind of empty in the morning, and just kind of hitting some nice roads and everything. And so that kind of attributes to what my current gas mileage is right now. The best I've ever gotten, as I said, was a longer trip. I got 27 miles per gallon. And then I forget exact mileage on the actual full tank, but it was well over 300. I think it was around 320, 330, something like that. And to me, it was the highest mileage I've ever seen on this car, or an EJ motor, I should say. I don't know if anybody's gotten more, but it was like 27.2 or something like that. It was end of summer. I think it was August, September kind of time. So I was still on summer gas, summer blended gas, so it wasn't winter or anything like that. But I was driving very conservatively. It was a lot of highway driving. Wasn't really many back roads or anything like that. So I was doing a consistent, 65, 70, 75, whatever. There wasn't really an opportunity to drive spiritedly or anything like that. It was just, just cruising there. So I got 27 miles per gallon. So that's pretty darn good. I was really happy with that. I wasn't even trying. I just put the car in intelligent mode. I wasn't even, like I said, I wasn't driving hard or anything like that. I was simply just, cruising there, and that's what I ended up getting. I pushed the car in a way, I pushed it longer than I would normally on the tank of gas, because I just wanted to see how many miles I can get on a full tank of gas. And it was around 320, 330 miles to the tank, which I was really happy with. So it's basically another 100 miles that you can get on this car if you just drive, you have a really long commute. So that was the best. I've never seen it again. I haven't taken this car really on a much longer trip. I think I took a longer trip, but not that long. Got around 24, 25, but I haven't been able to touch 27 just because I don't drive this car on longer commutes or trips right now. I did see that, so it is possible to reach a decent mile MPG on this car, when you drive normal, not like a crazy person. So, don't really think this is the most terrible car to get gas mileage wise. It can do pretty good if you commute and you drive, not drive like a crazy person, and you go on the longer commutes. Now this begs the question, is the STI a good car to daily if you have a longer commute? And that's going to be completely up to you. As I, you're probably going to see around 19, 20 if you do a longer commute every single day. Like I said, I've seen 27, but I don't think you'll get that every day. That it may have been a fluke. Who knows if that was actually accurate? I was just basing it off of the multifunctional display that you have on the top of the dash there. So the calculation may be a little off, but even so, you'll probably see maybe 19, 20, maybe 21, depending on how you drive on a longer commute. So if you're driving 50, 60 miles a day, that's really up to you. It really depends on if gas mileage is important to you. If you don't want to be visiting the gas station at least once a week, sometimes maybe every 4 to 5 days, this might not be for you. But to me, the commute, I have such a short commute. I have back roads and everything. I don't drive the car on long distances, and so it didn't really bother me. That didn't really affect me. The gas mileage wasn't a deal breaker or a concern for me. I prefer the overall STI characteristics and everything about it. So that is mainly why I went with the STI. It wasn't a big deal breaker for me. The gas mileage was not a concern of mine. I just wanted the driving experience, and the gas mileage is just what came with it, and that's what it is. If you are commuting a lot, and gas, it adds up pretty quickly. You're going to be spending $100 or so a week on gas, just to fill up and commute to and from work. So that really depends, if you want to do that. That's much more commuter friendly. It's more comfortable. Obviously the gas mileage is way better, and you won't be visiting the gas station as much. So if you're commuting that much and you're concerned that the STI is going to be a little too much for you in terms of paying for gas and just having to go to the gas station so often, the WRX I feel like is definitely going to be a better option for you. But everybody's different. So for me, I personally enjoy the STI way more, just how it drives and everything. So I probably would have made that sacrifice and just went with the STI still, just because I enjoy it more. But I get it. It can get expensive. I don't know if my mind would have changed if I was commuting a long commute to work. Maybe I would have thought it was okay, and then had it for a year and gotten really tired of it and sold it for a WRX. I don't know, but if this helps somebody kind of clarify what they should get if they are commuting that much, maybe this will help them, and I could save them some money. You got to keep in mind, this car, the STI, the EJ motor, it's old technology. The WRX is fuel injection. It's newer technology. It's more focused on today's age and how much better a 4-cylinder turbo motor can be on gas. The Type R, the Golf R especially, amazing on gas. It's the same kind of platform in terms of it's a 4-cylinder turboed car. What I'm looking at right now, it's a 4-cylinder turbo, but it's old technology, and we're looking at basically SUV kind of MPGs, which is pretty crazy to think these days. My wife's Outback gets better gas mileage than this. We get about 25 or so, and that is a much bigger car, much heavier. I am hoping that in the future, when the 2021 STI or whenever it does come out, the new one, it's going to have updated technology. I'm hoping that it does have better gas mileage. It should, just because the WRX is really great on gas, so it technically should have better gas mileage in the new motor. But honestly, I have no regrets going with the STI. I've been driving this for 3.5 years. I'm on just under 30,000 miles, so I have some decent seat time in this to really get an understanding of what it costs to actually, fill this car up with gas every single week. Daily driving it, and getting a good understanding of, what it takes to actually drive this car. Last video I talked about being able to buy and afford are two different things. Gas mileage or gas prices and paying for gas is being able to afford it. It can get really expensive if you're not careful, if you drive a lot and you're just buying the car when you shouldn't and you can't afford it. That is something you have to take into consideration, because you will be visiting the gas pump much more often in this than you would the WRX. So yeah, that's just my gas mileage and what I've been getting over the past 3.5 years and 30,000 miles basically. And you're gonna have to decide for yourself if gas mileage is important for you. If 17 is okay, or you'd rather get 25, 30 miles per gallon. Obviously, I wouldn't mind getting more. It doesn't bother me that it gets around this. Every single car that I've ever had is basically around this, MPG. My M3, I think I was getting around 18 or 19, and that was an inline 6. So it doesn't really bother me. It doesn't take away from the car for me. I still enjoy it to the complete fullest. It doesn't even bother me. But as I said, if you're driving a lot, you're driving 60 miles a day, I get it. I totally understand that you want something a little bit better on gas. So that is just my experience and what I have experienced over my 3.5 year ownership. Let me know what you guys think, if you'd rather go with a WRX or STI based on the gas mileage alone. But honestly, I say drive both, see what you like best, and go from there. And I assure you, if you do choose the STI, you're going to have a good time. Man, last video I did, it was about terrain, and I think we're getting another storm. So I don't know what it is every time I go out to film. That's it for this video, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Keep it clean, keep it simple, and I'll catch you in the next one.